Hello and welcome, my fellow Vikings. I'm Darth9K. So Valheim just had its Xbox release a few weeks ago, and if you're like me and picked it up not knowing anything about it, then you came to the right place. I've been playing this game since the Xbox release, and I've made so many mistakes so that you don't have to. These are my top 5 things I wish I knew when I first started playing Valheim. Let's get started. The first tip I have for you guys is food. So food and the buffs that they provide are always essential to your survival in Valheim. Always make sure to have enough food to keep your buffs up at all times, especially if you're exploring at night or if you're in or near the Black Forest. Having the extra health and stamina could be the difference between life and death. The food you're most likely to come across first in the meadows biome are raspberries, mushrooms, honey, deer, boar, and neck. One thing I didn't understand how to obtain when I first started playing was the honey. I completely overlooked this, but it's very easy to obtain. All you have to do is find the beehives that are located in the abandoned buildings. They look like this. Shoot them with the bow and arrow till they are destroyed, then collect the honey and the queen bee that falls out. Take your newly acquired queen bee back to your base, and using a couple of wood with the queen, you can now craft a bee box. With the bee boxes at your base, you will now have an unlimited supply of honey. You only need to collect the honey every so often. Honey is a great early game food for stamina and is also used in later game recipes as well, so it's good to start stocking up on it as early as possible. The next tip I have for you guys is how to easily farm wood. This tip definitely changed the way I farm wood and will save you countless hours on chopping down trees and farming wood in general. So instead of chopping down trees one at a time all the way down till you get the collectible wood, try to find an area where there are multiple trees in close proximity to each other, then start chopping them down one at a time. Don't fully chop them into pieces, but instead just chop them until they start falling on each other. Trees falling will damage other trees that they hit and potentially even completely destroy them into collectible wood, leaving you to do so much less chopping and save you so much time. You're welcome. Just watch out for all those trees when they start falling. It can be extremely dangerous. Believe me, I know from experience. The next tip I have for you guys is about your rested buff. One thing that new players don't know about or do not take into consideration when exploring Valheim is the rested buff and the benefits it applies. When I first started playing, I had no idea about this buff and completely ignored it. This was a massive mistake on my part. The rested buff gives you plus 50% health regen, plus 100% stamina regen, and plus 50% experience gained. That's actually 3 buffs in one. These buffs are massive and should definitely not be overlooked. You definitely want to have this buff active at all times if possible. To get the rested buff, all you have to do is sit by a campfire for about 20 seconds. Also, increasing your comfort level around your fire by adding furniture will increase the duration that the rested buff will last. So make sure you get that comfort level as high as you can. While you are out exploring, make sure to always have a few extra wood and some stone with you, so that if your rested buff runs out, you can just craft a campfire wherever you are, sit next to it to refresh your buff, and you're good to go. If you guys are finding this video helpful, please smash that like button. It doesn't cost anything and it really helps out the channel. Thank you. My number 4 tip for you guys is to loot everything. I know that this one seems kinda obvious, but you really need to loot everything you see. Some things might be of no use to you initially, but still pick them up and put them in a chest for later use. Valheim has an amazing crafting system that makes everything useful at some point or another. You will even use early game resources for later game recipes, so just pick it all up. You'll thank me later. Also, don't forget to build a massive amount of chests so that you can store it all for later use. My final tip for you guys is to mark resources and points of interest on the map. I didn't even know you can do this until many hours into my first playthrough. Valheim is a massive open world, and it's very easy to forget where you've seen resources or POIs like dungeons or crypts. All you have to do is open your map, select which icon you want to use with the D-pad, then press A to name the pin. I like to keep it short and use abbreviations so that I don't have a bunch of text all over the place. But seriously, mark everything you find. Don't waste time looking for resources you've previously discovered, just mark it on the map, especially early game patches of raspberries and mushrooms, because they do grow back. As long as you don't destroy the bushes, you can just come back later to harvest them again and again. If you happen to find a dungeon or a crypt, but you're not ready to go in, just mark it on the map and come back later when you have upgraded weapons and armor. Did you guys find these tips helpful? Would you add any other tips for new players? If so, leave a comment. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care and stay over 9,000 Vikings.